Hello, everyone. How are you doing? Good morning. My name is Michael Thotho, and I am glad to be the one hosting today's Centonomy cross-campus hangout. Welcome. Glad to have everyone on board. Now, I'd like you guys to go on the chat box and let me know where you are tuning in from. Yeah, we'd like to know where you are in from today so that I can give you a shout out. And then I also see that we are live on Facebook, we're live on Twitter, we're also live on YouTube. All right. All right. Thank you. I see Lisa from Nakuru. I also see Rachel from Kisumu. I see Alex from Kariobangi. I see George from Thika. I see Edward from Mombasa, Teresa from Kisumu, Isabella from Wangari, Immaculate from here in Nairobi. I see Joanne from Nakuru. Welcome all of you. I see Anthony all the way from Uganda. I see Moja from Dar es Salaam. I see Quinta from Siaya. I see Gloria from Gloria from Nairobi, Maria from Homa Bay, Duncan from Kikuyu, Beatrice from Madaraka. Karibuni nyinyi wote. Welcome everyone. Glad to have everyone on board. And also, if you could let me know which campus you're representing so that we know which campus you're representing, because you're all about the Centonomy cross-campus hangout. So if you're in campus, you can let me know which campus you're representing today. Thank you. I see Gloria from JKUAT Juja. Teno.
Nani? Hajakuja hapa.
I see Ivy from Strathmore. Great. I see we are fully represented. Allow me to introduce my name again. My name is Mike. I am the programs manager here at Centonomy, and I'm going to be the moderator for today. Today we have a good list of presenters, starting with Wangari Muchiri, who's going to talk to us about how she has created wealth in the renewable energy sector, because she's a renewable energy engineer and an energy planning expert, right? So she's going to talk to us about how she has been able to create wealth through her job, through her career. And then she's also going to give us tips and ideas that we can take home and things that we can start working on right now, all right? So that we can also be on that path to wealth creation, all right? And then we're also going to have, Faith Muturi. Faith Muturi is a well-known speaker, well-known business coach and trainer. And she's also going to talk to us about how she has been able to create wealth and how she has been able to do this, especially being a young person. And we can also going to, interact with her and know the ways that we can also, take up some of the steps that she took, right? So that we can be able to now also start about how we ourselves can start thinking about wealth creation in different aspects in our careers, in our businesses, right? And then we're also going to have Mr. Amani Shayo, all the way from Tanzania. Amani Shayo is the program manager at Empower Limited. And I believe that Mr. Amani is the director of ISEC in Tanzania. So I'm glad to have ISEC as represented in the call today. So yes, welcome everyone. Glad to have everyone on board. Right. Just confirm that you can hear me. I see someone that, okay. Great. Thank you for confirming that, Peter. All right. Without further ado, allow me now to introduce our first speaker, who's going to be Wangari Muchiri. Wangari, karibu sana. Excited to have you on board.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much.
The floor is yours.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Michael. Thank you everybody for joining us today. It's fantastic to just see how many young people are interested in building their careers and starting so early and thinking about it even now in this age group. I think that's something that's amazing, because the one thing that you guys have on your time, to your advantage is time, which a lot of us, it's gone by quite quickly. So maybe you wanted to speak a little bit about, now we can go from there. So I'll start first with my career and why I chose to do what I do.
Seem to have lost Wangari for a minute there. But she's coming on back. Great. Wangari, you're back on. Just unmute.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, can hear you.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you so much. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. Zoom seems to have just crashed. So I am a renewable energy engineer, and I have been in the industry for about 10 years now. I got my first job, which was an admin role in a renewable energy firm in Australia in 2010. And I worked with them just doing small admin things, kind of setting up their customer base and communicating and picking up phone calls and taking tea to the boss lady. And I thought at that point, that was such an amazing opportunity for me, because it meant I was in a space that I really enjoyed, which was renewable energy, and it was a technical space. But in just doing the small mundane things that I thought were just very small things, I was able to learn so much just in passing. You conversations in the office, or you hear phone calls happening, and you learn so much from that you're not, it really becomes an advantage later. Later is when you see, okay, what I did in that role, even as much as it was a small thing, actually turns out to be a really important thing. So in terms of setting up my career, I studied renewable energy engineering in Australia for about, I think it was a 4-year course. And how I knew I wanted to go into renewable was because I'm good at STEM subjects, so science, technology, engineering, math subjects. And that's what I really thrived at. I wasn't really good at English and literature and all these other things. So I found that in physics and the sciences and in a lot of the STEM subjects, in mathematics, is where I really, really thrived. And so I knew that I had to go into that kind of realm of things. And from a very early age, even on my report card, I would not really struggle that much to get an A in physics or an A in mathematics, but literature, reading those books was really, 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 really hard. And I was just like, okay, why do I have to write this essay? So it really didn't make sense to me at that point. But then, of course, you need a more all-rounded person. But I think when I was not choosing my university subjects, I said, I'm not going to take myself to somewhere where I need to write a lot of essays. I want to kind of lead in the path of STEM. But even in that STEM subjects, you can go into mathematics or engineering or technology. I chose to do something that was completely different and unique. So when I was looking for the course that I wanted to do, I was trying to decide between the different engineering courses. And you can do mechanical engineering, you can do electrical engineering, but I also didn't want to do just the typical engineering subjects. I wanted to do something completely different, something that no one had ever heard of, or something that was very new, or something that was just budding at that point. And at that point, my mom was reading a book about renewable energy and saying that it was going to be the next revolution of the world. And remember, this is in 2008, 12 years ago, now that I think about it, so long ago. 12 years ago, nobody really knows what renewable energy is. It's, very new, especially here in Kenya. But I was just like, let me take a chance on this new innovative thing that's coming up, and see if that would be, would actually kick off in a few years to come. Renewable energy engineering, so, it's a mix of mechanical and electrical, but specifically on renewable energy systems. It's showing me a note that my internet is unstable. Just let me know if you can't hear, I fix it. I don't know what's going on this morning. So basically, as I joined university, I kind of did the math subject and then started to really fall in love with renewable energy. And it, again, as my mom had written in that book, it was really starting to pick up. And that's when also I'd seen a panel installed in my shosho's house in a rural home. And that really changed how she was able to charge her phone and have her TV. And I was like, this could actually do something, it could really strong into renewable energy. And all these years later, I'm still here and still very determined. So in terms of, and I want to leave about 15 minutes for questions and answers, but in terms of 3 takeaway points for my career, in terms of how I went on from studying renewable energy engineering, worked for about 8 years in Australia, and then came back home to Kenya in 2015. And I've been working here for about 5 years now in both the green building and renewable energy space. In terms of one of my key takeaway points that I would say is try to be different in what you do and what. So if let's say you're doing engineering, don't do the typical engineering that everybody else would do. Do something different that would make you stand out. I don't know, the only other way I can really put it is, if you're a lawyer, don't work at a law firm. And it sounds very contrary to what people grow up learning. You're like, oh, if I'm going to be a lawyer, I'm going to work at a law firm. If I'm a doctor, I'm going to work at an office. In a hospital. So you kind of keep the status quo, but that doesn't ever make you stand out at all in your career. And what I can say, like my career, after I finished my engineering degree, I worked in a real estate company for about 3 years in Australia. And as an engineer, what am I doing in real estate, right? But I found that my technical side of my technical knowledge really came in handy to the real estate side of things. So the green building, renewable energy side of things to do with buildings. And I was the person to go to because everybody else was a real estate guru, right? So when they needed something more technical, somebody in energy or somebody more in green buildings, they would come to me, right? And so that helped me stand out at a very young age. I think I started that job when I was 22. And I was leading and managing government accounts for the Australian government, managing their buildings in Australia for, I think, multi-billion-dollar buildings that I was managing at that point. And I'm just a young 22-year-old, but I think it was because of the different knowledge that I had from my colleagues. So the same thing you've seen, I don't know if you've seen, like when the World Bank recruits or when the UN recruits, they're always looking for, let's say, engineers or lawyers or doctors, people who are different and not in their typical spaces, but they bring a different perspective and an innovative perspective to this new space. So what I would say is, whatever you studied, don't stick to that. To look at a different way of approaching it, and be open-minded. Be open-minded that the job that you're looking for might not actually be where you think you tip outside the box. If you're an engineer, go work at a bank. If you're a doctor, go work at a law firm. You never know what perspective could bring and how that would make you stand out a bit more. So that would be my first takeaway. My second takeaway is be very flexible when you're younger. So in terms of my career, I've mentioned that I worked in Sydney in Australia. I also worked in Canberra, which is the capital of Australia. And then I was moved to Nairobi in 2015. And I didn't come, like I was like, oh, I want to go home. The company that I was working for at the time opened an office in Nairobi, and I put my hand up to go. If you asked me 3 years before, or when the opportunity came up, I decided to just be flexible and take the opportunity. And the role here was not very green building centered. It was actually more real estate focused. So it allowed me to come to Kenya and learn a lot about the real estate side of things. And then combine that again with the technical knowledge I had from renewable energy and bring them together into, I guess, the green building realm that is now coming up in Kenya. And what I've seen over the last 5 years is that those two technical skill sets have really come together to put me at an advantage. I now sit on the board of the Kenya Green Building Society, and I've been sitting on that board since I was, I want to say, 26. So you can be a board member even at a young age. You can be sitting on those important boards and making very important decisions at that point, because you have a special skill set or a special knowledge that other people might not have. So I've been sitting on that board for about, so I'd say about 4 years now. And we're now breaking through this green building realm into the affordable housing scheme. So the government now has announced that the affordable housing scheme will be rated green. So green buildings will be an affordable housing scheme. And so there's so many things that are happening now that maybe I was already involved in many, many years ago. So I always say, just be flexible. You never know where your journey is going to lead you. Be patient as well. You might, 4 years ago when I joined the Kenya Green Building Society, we did not know that the PS for housing would be approaching us to certify green buildings, and it's something that you just work towards. If you have a vision, you keep working towards, but you need to be also flexible in your own realm and in whatever you have chosen to do. So I would say, number one, be innovative. Number two, be flexible. And the last thing that I would say in regard to is that you never know where you're going to end up. And I think this is where I also wanted to bring up that there are some challenges when you go through your career. There's always going to be some uphill challenges. It's never just an easy, smooth ride. And I'll give you an example. In end of 2018, the company that I was moved here to work with called us in one day to a meeting and told us that they were going to make us all redundant, all of us. So it was just one day where you're just like, I've moved here from Australia, I have this great high-flying job, I'm living my best life, and then one day you're called into a boardroom and you're told you're going to be made redundant. And there was no indication the company was doing well. There was no you didn't know that it was going to happen, right? And I found that phase in my life where I was made redundant and where I had to kind of re-steer my career and really look around it, has actually been my most successful time of my career. So in 2018, when we were made redundant, we were hired slightly back as consultants. So we did consult with the company for a little bit, but on a day-to-day basis. It wasn't anything permanent. And that made me start looking outside the box. It made me say, okay, I'm not doing this job 9 to 5 anymore. What else can I do? What else is my passion? What else can I apply my skills to? And that's when I started really diving into the green building side of things. So green building is buildings that are more sustainable, use renewable energy, and more healthy for people to live in. And it's when now all the awards started coming. So the same year that I was redundant is the same year that I was announced as an Obama leader for Africa. I was also announced as a top 6 women in wind energy by the Global Wind Energy Council. I was also announced that what I'm trying to say with that is that your hardest time, your most challenging time might also be the pivot point for your best time, your best to come. So for me, I would say end of 2018, I was made redundant. 2019, I was able to jump into a whole new realm, which is the green building side of things. And in 2019 is when I won all the awards that you see on my profile. That's when I got most of them. And it's because I decided to kind of open my eye out to new opportunities. And if you had asked me that a few years ago, I would also have told you I would have had no idea. And also, I would never have won those awards if I was still doing my 9 to 5. So remember, there'll always be challenges, but just be flexible and don't stick to one. If things are not going how it's planned, don't worry. That might be actually the challenge might be a pivotal point in the career. So I think those are my top 3 tips in terms of building a good foundation. I want to take some questions now. So if there are any questions, Michael, please go ahead.
Wow, 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 Wangari, I do not think I gave you a proper introduction when I was introducing you after just listening to you right now. Wow, that was impressive and challenging at the same time. Impressive and challenging at the same time. So yeah, thank you very much, Wangari, for sharing with us your journey and all that you've been able to do. And just to show that I was actually listening to what you were saying, yeah. Your 3 takeaway points. The first one, you said you have to be different, right? You have to be different. Now,
yes.
Yes, at Centonomy we call it being the red car. You know.
Yes.
You know, when you're driving around, you're always or most probably you will say, you know, silver or white cars. Yeah. At
Yes.
Centonomy we call it being the red car. You know, be different.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
what is that is going to differentiate you from someone else? And we, you know, in one of the modules that we teach at the Centonomy Campus Edition program, which is the advanced career planning, this is the kind of thing that we tell people, that you have to be different, right? You have to stand out. You have to have that's something that makes you stand out from the crowd. Yeah. So, and then number 2, you said you have to be flexible, right?
Definitely, you have to be flexible around your career.
Flexible. Great. You need to be flexible, and then after being flexible, you also need to be patient, right? So flexible and patient, right? Great. And then number 3, you said you never know, right? You never know. So
you never know.
When you say you never know, this means that things that you've planned for might not actually work out the way that you've planned for, right? So it is always
that's
good,
a good thing.
Yes, it's always good that you have something as a backup, you know, and especially I know in terms of your finances. Imagine if you're made redundant and you did not have something like an emergency fund, you know, and that is something that we talk about again in the Centonomy Campus Edition program, right? We talk about how you can have an emergency fund, so that you can have some backup, so that when that you never know moment comes, you're good, yeah, you're not caught flat-footed. So you have something that will keep you going as you now transition to the next next step, right? All right, great.
Yes.
Now,
sure.
Wangari, first of all, you are managing a multi-billion dollar building at 22, and you are also at the board of the Kenya Green Building Society at 26, right?
Yes.
Again, very impressive. So thank you for your time. So now I'd just like to welcome questions from anyone who's participating. If you have any questions that you would like Wangari to answer, this is your time. This is your time. Share your questions on the chat box, right? Or in the comment sections if you're on Facebook, so that we can help you out. All right. Now, someone is asking, Kelvin is asking, Wangari, how do you stand out in a field like finance? You know, how do you stand out in a field like finance?
That's a very good question. And I think I've actually received this question quite a few times from my colleagues every time I say stand out in you know, whichever field you're in. What I would say is, let's say I'm an engineer. I'm not good at finance, right? So if I was a finance guru, or I was really good at finance, then what I would say is go and work in an engineering firm where you're working around engineers. People will come to you to be the guy to kind of deal with the finance side of things. That's what makes you stand out. On top of that, when you enter a field that is, let's say, very technical, and you're the person who is dealing with the finances, the funding, the donors, or whatever it is in that field, then you become the fundraiser, you become the guru that people look to for money, and everywhere that money is, people follow. So in terms of finance, you definitely want to be in a field that is not typical financing, insurance, banking. You want to be in the technical, the legal fields where the skill set is not typically the finance people. Like I cringe when I have to do financials, and I wish I had someone like you to help me do them, because that's not where my skill set is. So I think definitely look at that, at those realms.
All right, very good, very good. Yeah, like you can be an accountant in a in a hospital,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, or something like that, right? Now, someone else
because
is
also it's a
asking.
very yes.
Right?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead. Wangari, you're on mute.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Yeah. So like in a hospital, if you're the accountant, then you're the only one who knows how to really cost medical supplies and all that. And that's a unique skill set that people need all over the world. So it's something that you can definitely position yourself and be innovative and creative in that. How do you save money? How do you find better products that are maybe cheaper for the hospital? So you can show savings on that, and that's a way to stand out in that field.
Fantastic, fantastic. Now, someone else is asking, how can we invest in the renewable energy sector?
Okay. There's several ways to invest in renewable energy, and I don't know if that's from a consumer point of view or if from a kind of trying to work in the industry. But in terms of working in the industry, there's a lot of, you can do a course and become an installer, or even start a company that installs renewable energy. You can also be a supplier of products. So I don't know if you've heard of like solar hot water systems or photovoltaic systems, or even just the typical wiring in these realms. There's a lot of household systems that people are looking to put in. So that's a small place to start. You can also work for one of the big companies that are kind of in the renewable energy space, so the Kengens and all that. You can also try and find a job in that field. And that's also a good way to invest in renewables. I don't know if that answers the question, but maybe if you're more specific, I can help. Yeah.
I believe somehow you have answered. Yeah, like one way of investing in the renewable energy sector is going through the business side of it. Yeah, like being the one on the supply side. Yeah,
right.
Supplying all these things that are needed in green buildings and things
yes.
like that. Yeah. All right, great. Now, someone here is asking a very interesting question. Wangeshi is asking, how did you go through the struggles of being looked down upon just because you are young? So maybe you got looked down upon by some of your colleagues who are a bit older and who are a bit senior. How do you, if so, how did you overcome it?
Okay, that's a great question. I'll even share. The first few years when I moved back home, because I was in this engineering space in real estate, would be on projects where there's lots of other engineers, road engineers, water engineers, electrical engineers, and these are all very like senior, older men. And I often was the only woman in the room. And not only I was there the only woman, I was also the youngest in the room. But then it would be, so nobody would really pay attention initially. So you would go in and people would be like confused, who's this young girl in the room, right? But when I started to speak about the green elements of the building, or wastewater recycling, or solar, which a lot of them didn't have the knowledge on, they were forced to listen because that's what I was there for. And so when you slowly combat the age issue, not being old enough or being overlooked because you're young, with knowledge, people actually are forced to listen. If somebody doesn't have knowledge on renewable energy or on green buildings, they can't really talk you out of it because you're the one who has the knowledge on the table. So at times when it came to the sustainable building or trying to make a building green, I would be the person to go to, and they'd have to listen to what I'd have to say, regardless of my age, if they wanted the project to go ahead. So if you start in a space where you're often overlooked, just make sure your knowledge, make sure you're sharp, make sure your people are like, oh wow, she really does her stuff, because then they're forced to listen to you regardless of how old you are or how young you look.
Fantastic, fantastic. At Centonomy, we call it, you have to always bring value to the table. When you bring value to the table, no matter how old you are, no matter how young you are, no matter your gender, people will listen. All right.
Exactly.
Now, another interesting question from Captain Wasike. They're asking, being in university and running my business, it's a bit hard at the same time, right? Now, they're asking, how did you manage to do all that you are doing at such an early age? How did you manage your time to balance between the things that you are doing?
Yes, I think it's a matter of prioritizing. So when I was in uni, I was in uni when I got my first job 10 years ago, and it was my second year of university, of doing my engineering degree. And what I decided is for me to graduate and stand out from the rest of my colleagues who graduate, I need work experience, because no one's just going to hire somebody who doesn't know anything off the bat or doesn't have work experience off the bat when you graduate. And you find a lot of companies will ask for at least 1 or 2 years experience. So I said, you know what, my free time, let's say my classes were half days on some days, or I'd only have to go to class 3 days a week. Then I was like, I have 2 extra days that I can do something with. And so I found the job advertisement, I applied for it and negotiated that I'd only go in 2 days a week and then be at uni 3 days a week. And so that's what I did, just literally prioritize the time. Of course, it's difficult as a university student. You want to have time, you want to go out, you want to be with your friends, you want to have your hang time. But then you really, when you realize the benefit that it puts you ahead of everyone, it puts you 2 years ahead of everyone to work before you graduate, then you definitely want to take that path. And that's what I did. And that's how kind of what projected me into my career, because I've just turned 30 a few days ago and I already had 10 years experience under my belt. So it really helped you in that realm.
Great. So how you manage is to, you have to prioritize. Yeah, you have to prioritize your time.
Yes.
Very good.
Yes.
Very good. And I like what you said, that you got a job that you are going like 2 days in a week.
Yes.
Most young people, when they think about a job, they think about going in, from 9 to 5, and also going in from Monday to Friday. So
Yes.
they don't think, although they don't see the opportunity that they are bringing there. They say, I am a student, and this is the kind of hours that I am able to work.
That you have,
and yeah. So if you're a student and you have some time off between your classes, check that time and look for something. Look for something that you can put your time into. All right.
Yeah, and sometimes offer to work for free, even if you can't find something that's paying for those 2 days. Take the 2 days as your learning time, as time that you will learn things, have access to the market, access to people, access to customers, and that builds your networks. And that, as much as you might not be getting financial, reward from it, you might be getting networks, and that those networks lead to your next job, which could be a paying job. So you never really know, but I think you can. The benefit of when you have the extra time, don't just waste it. If you're not studying something else, try and get a job that you can actually input from, learn from, which is very important.
Great. Now you bring up the point of volunteering your time, as a young person, in reward for experience. Right. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
Yes.
Now, Val is asking. They're in the IT field, and there are a lot of emerging technologies that they are confused on which one to follow in terms of especially standing out. Now, in a field like IT, where there are so many emerging technologies, how can you pick which one to stand out in?
Okay. I think it's a very interesting one to work in and to stand out in. And I think it's very, I know, challenging, because the technology is constantly changing. There's always a new program, or there's a new cybersecurity threat, or there's always something coming up. And I think in the field of IT, that's it's a unique space, because you have to keep learning. You have to keep studying. Actually, one of my really good friends, his name is Bright Gameli, and he's a hacker. Well, he's a cybersecurity expert, but he's a white collar hacker. And he is fantastic at what he does. But Bright does not sleep. He is literally up until 3 a.m. trying to fix some code, or trying to crack some code, or trying to read up on something. And that's something that I really also admire in him. So in the IT field, you can't afford to sit back and not keep studying on top of what the new threats are, what the new technologies are. You have to keep moving with the space. I'm seeing now that a lot more people into programming, but also program codes change. So you might be C+ today and then find that people are using Java or something else different, later. So you want to just, even in your niche, be really good at what you do, but keep studying and keep progressing. And I would say even each year, do a course to bring yourself up to have something new and current happening in that space. And also I learned that from my dad. My dad was in IT in 1990 when I was born. And he has always said that when he grew older, of course, the technologies changed and things became different. And so he had to actually move from IT into operations, which was different from, you couldn't keep up with the technology changing all the time. So for you to do it, you really have to keep studying. With IT, I think IT is like law. You have to keep studying consistently throughout your career as you go. Yeah.
All right, great. Now, one last question, yeah. Someone is asking here, when you got the sad news from your company that you are being let go, how did you get the energy to start all over again?
Ooh, so that's actually a really good question. I first of all, I was distraught because you think about it. I've moved back home with this company, helped set it up actually in Nairobi. And then somebody in the US makes a decision. They don't even know you. They don't know how the company is operating. But because they're the boss, they can make a decision to close an office every day. And that's exactly what happened. So it was disheartening. But I thought about it and I said, okay, at that time I was 28 years old. If I feel like I'm like my career is over, what am I like? I'm still too young to feel like this is the end of the road for me, right? And so what I did is I started looking at the other things that I was working in. So I'd already started volunteering at the Kenya Green Building Society. And I said, you know what, even if I'm not going to have this role, let me throw myself into this other volunteer work that I do and really work on that and see if that will grow and that will become, something that is prominent. And that's what I did. So for so long, I worked mainly in the green building side of things. And that's what really now also helped me be identified by the Obama Foundation and all that. And so what I also would say is, as long as when you're in a career, when you have a job, don't let that be your only thing. Always have a side hustle or something you volunteer for on the side, or something a hobby that you work on the side, because if that ever ends, then you're not tied to that was my being, that was my identity. You always have something else that you can fall back on. And I fell back on the Green Building Society, which now helped me kind of have another trajectory, which has turned out to be more successful even than the first one was.
Fantastic. I love it. So you're saying even if you get a job, it is always important that that your extra time, your extra time where you're spending it, you be very careful, because that could be what you fall back into when when everything doesn't go as you had planned, right?
Exactly. And I always think about this analogy of the ambassador. When you're an ambassador, you have like the house, you're given a free house, you have a driver, you have a chauffeur, red plate, it's a car, you go and meet with all these important people and life is great. But when you're posted, are you going to still maintain the same lifestyle that you lived? Are you going to still live in a nice house, have the same car, meet important people, have flights booked for you first class to wherever in the world? Or is your life going to completely be withdrawn back because you really just you're throwing yourself into just one job? Let's say if you have, let's say, a side hustle, you start investing in real estate or something, you can build your wealth that when that job ends, you still have the same quality of life on your own terms that was provided to you. And I think that's also a disease that really happens to a lot of senior government people, where you're not able to let go of the perks that came with that job. Then you go into depression when you're out of the job, because then you don't have any of those perks that came with it. Nobody's booking flights for you, nobody's driving you around, and you did set yourself up in that same sense. So I would say with any job that you take, never tie yourself to that job and to kind of what it brings. but set yourself up that you also have something. If the job ends, you always have the same quality of life. Yeah.
Great, that is fantastic. That is fantastic. And just to echo your second point, which was be flexible, right? Great.
Exactly.
Thank you so much, Wangari Muchiri. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your thoughts. We appreciate you. And yeah, if you do not mind, you can continue, staying on the call and answering a few questions on the chat box as they might arise. Because now we need to move on with the program, and I see our next speaker is already in. Yeah. So thank you, Wangari. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.
All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to introduce our next speaker. Our next speaker is going to be Faith Muturi. Faith Muturi is a corporate training consultant who is a communicator for transformation, right? Faith, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I am well. Glad to have you on board on this call.
It's great to be here.
Yeah. First of all, I'd like to say that you have a very infectious smile, and yes, we are looking forward to your wisdom and what you have prepared for us today. So, Faith, take it away.
Okay, great. Hi, everybody. How are you doing? It's good to connect with you all. I see you, Beatrice. I like thank you. Excellent. So I think I'll share a little about myself. Some of you probably know me from another side of my life. Probably some of you know me from media. I think I was in media for about 4 years. But I'll share now what other people don't know about me. What other people probably don't know about me is that I've actually been a training consultant for about 14 years. Which has been fantastic. So that's my real career, though I'm known more for my TV side of life, which was my Sunday Hangout. Yeah, well, I was still doing training. So I've done that for about 14 years in about 7 countries in Africa and Europe and loved it. I've had the privilege of training different organizations, whether it's the UN, the World Bank, the Standard Chartered Bank, Barclays Bank, CDC, US Embassy, Nakadalika. And I love it. I've also had the privilege of being a Sunday school teacher, which I think taught me a lot about communication skills, because you can keep children engaged, you can keep everyone engaged. So I hope that we'll connect. So one of the things I'd love to hear from you is, what did you learn from the previous session? Wangari Muchiri, congratulations. You've done a fantastic job. Of gleaned from your wisdom. Thank you. So everybody, I want to hear if the more than 100 people here are just chilling. So please share on the chat, what is one thing you learned from Wangari's session? I'd love to hear that from you so that we kind of transition on to this one. And also, while at it, if you have a question that wasn't answered, feel free to just share. Someone has raised their hand, Michael. Have you seen them? Would you? I think they want to share what they've learned or something. So go ahead, because when I start, I might be all out.
I have seen them. June Musau.
Yes, thank you for this chance. And that you should not give up just because you have lost your primary source of income. You should be flexible and open-minded to other ways you can earn money and improve on your career. I had asked a question, unfortunately it wasn't answered. I just wanted to know how you can network with high-value people so as to like increase chances of upping your career and stuff like that.
All right, thank you for your question. Faith?
Sorry, I don't know if it's me or Michael. Also, you're not moving, so my guess is my internet is the one that has. Hi.
Asking.
Can you hear me?
You're good now. Yes, now I can hear you.
Okay, you had lost me for a bit.
Yes, but now you're good.
My apologies. So I didn't get the question entirely. Michael, would you repeat her question? Michael, would you please repeat her question?
So she was asking, how do you get to network with high net value people so that you can up your career? How do you get to network with high value people?
Okay, excellent. Thank you. So I'll address that. How do you connect with high value people? Excellent. Thank you for that. So let me share a bit of what people learned from the previous session, and I applaud you all. I may not share all of them, but I've seen be patient, be flexible, be dynamic, and a lifestyle that you can sustain, be different. Esther says, bring something to the table. Thank you, Valerie, Jacqueline, Jadida, Lisa, and the rest for sharing. Solomon, be flexible and use your time well. Stand out in whatever field you're in. Have a side thing you do. And then focus not only on your career, to venture in other fields, venture in other things which might interest you. That's Victoria, or Charity, whoever it is. Okay, excellent. So how do you connect with, it was high value people?
Yes.
Okay, first of all, everybody is high value. God created you, you're high value, 100%. We probably say high financial net worth, or higher in the corporate world. Why? Because there are very many high net worth people financially that are in Gikomba. You get it?
Oh,
So
yeah.
that person is in the, you know, banks are pursuing them to join premium banking, while there's someone else who has flosets. Flosets are those cars that are on loan. You know what I mean? And we feel,
Yes.
so I think it's one acknowledging what do we mean by worth. And it's okay to say someone is high net worth financially, but what is high net worth financially? Because different industries mean different things. So number one, know what does the pyramid look like? And pyramid is just a reality of life. What does the pyramid look like in your industry? Because, for example, if it's in farming, the farmer may be the guy in boots, and he literally goes to the farm on a daily basis, and that's where some of the wealthiest people are. If it's in banking, that's different. If it's in IT, that's different. So how you connect with Zuckerberg, the Zuckerberg of your industry, is very different from the farmer of your industry. So how do you connect with them? Know who they are and know what it is they're seeking for. Know what their expectations are of you. How do you know that? Listen. There's a Swahili saying, and feel this for me quickly. Asiyefunzwa na mamaye, feel for me that one on the chat.
On the chat,
Michael,
yeah.
if you know the answer, feel free.
Let us give guys an opportunity to
Give
fill
them
on the chat.
Hufuzwa na ulimwengu. Abigail,
Yes,
well done. Your
Abigail.
Swahili, you had better have gotten an A. So our Delve training, a managing partner at Delve, that's where I lead the team. So we say, asiyefunzwa na mamaye, hufunzwa na Uncle Google. Google is your friend. So think of the people that you admire in the pyramid of your industry and look at what they say they admire. I'll give an example. Very many people, so one, look at them, but more than that, listen to them and find out the expectations. Very many people admire this guy of Virgin Atlantic. How can the name disappear? Branson. If I forget, I want to see if you're listening. Or if I pretend I'm forgetting,
Sure.
I had forgotten. So it's you to answer quickly, very quickly. So Branson, he dresses like in Clarks a lot of times.
T-shirt and jeans, yeah.
In jeans and khaki. But one thing he says is he started dressing like that after he was owning different companies. But in his 20s and 30s, he was wearing suits like everybody else. So do not look at Richard Branson and say, Allah, see, I can dress in khaki. You'll be surprised. So he says he gets very surprised when young people meet him, because he expects a lot of his executives, at times, he expects them to be in suits. So the people who show up and they think they're dressing like him in khakis, he's thinking, till you get to where I am, you gotta dress. So know what the expectation is in that industry, in that space, so that you remain as relevant as possible. So I hope that has answered the question. There's a big thing I love talking about, which is crown your skills, CROWN. You probably heard me saying about it, so I won't go too much into it. If you'd like to know more about crown your skills, go to our website, delvetraining.com. At the bottom, there's a video. I did a video interview some time back. I was talking of crowning your skills. So C is communication skills. How do you walk? How do you talk? How do you dress? How you connect with those people in 10 seconds, they choose if they'll connect with you or not. A big part is dressing. How are you dressed? How is your hair? How is your beard for a guy? Ladies, how are you dressed? And you have to dress 2 levels above your position. If you're an intern, you must dress as smart as your boss or your boss's boss. You get it, eh? So you can't be going in sandals or in tiptoe, in peep toe where you're seeing your toes. Ensure that your dressing is good. Ensure that communication is very professional. How do you communicate? R is relationship management. How do you manage relationships 360? How do you, if you finish a job, how do you finish that job? Your last job, how did you finish your last job? How did you finish? Did you have an exit interview with your boss? Whether they ask for you or not, did you tell them what are 3 things you think I did well? What do you think are 3 things I need to improve? That's the way you'll know what they really think about you. If you don't do an exit interview, you did not exit well. Why? Because you really don't know their perception of you. Ask for an exit interview. Why? Because those are the people who have known you and who will speak of you elsewhere. And when you finish well, you're able to sustain well. Okay, when you finish well. So you don't just show up and say, I'm not coming to work tomorrow. No. And relationship management. Relationships, learn to deal with the most difficult boss. Learn to deal with the most difficult boss. Difficult. But I call them different. At Dell Training, we love saying they're different. Yeah. So learn to deal with that boss. Why? Have you noticed with every organization, there's a boss who everyone complains about. But there's someone who copes with that person.
Yeah.
The person who copes with them, they don't deny the things about them. They've learned to manage them. So whoever will learn to manage that boss will get ahead. Not because of that boss, but what they're developing is resilience. What they're developing is emotional intelligence. So instead of saying this boss is petty, they say this boss is particular. So how do you cope with people? Understand where they're coming from, see their strength, and focus on that. The rest are details. If they're dramatic, it's fine. You get what I mean? If they're ignore, focus on what matters. So if you can manage the toughest of relationships, the clients that everyone runs away from, learn to connect with them. And emotional intelligence is you don't take emotionals personally. What do I mean? If someone ever abuses you, they've crossed the line. Okay, I want to record this one. Okay, if anyone abuses you, they've crossed the line. But if anyone is emotional, like they don't talk in the best tone, or if they don't just talk to you in the best way, it may not be right, but it's human. So don't take it personal. Be like a doctor. If you went to a doctor and they jabbed you and you started crying, they won't say, I can't work with you anymore. They know they jabbed you. So when you're dealing with people, no, a customer will complain. That's fine. They're human. That's the way a doctor knows someone will cry. That's the way a nurse knows I'll have a big old guy here. And I show him an injection and he's like, the biggest, strongest people, when they see a needle like this. So there's a nurse who will say, you go away, come back when you're ready. But there's a nurse who will bembeleza. They just know people are afraid of needles. What do I mean? Don't take it personal. Don't allow abuse. Don't allow someone to call you names. But if it's someone is expressive, separate, focus on the issue, acknowledge their emotions. Later, when they've really relaxed, agree on terms of engagement nicely. So also don't allow a boss to bully you. Come back later and tell them, sorry, I know I did this wrong, blah, blah, blah. But whenever you speak very loudly, I get intimidated and I make more mistakes. So I request 1, 2, 3. They may ignore you, but they had you and you drew a line. But don't focus on drawing lines, focus on building bridges. Deal?
Great,
C is type for me. I've said C and I've said
let
R.
us see on
Me
the chat box.
Type for me. I said C and I said R. Type for me. Let's see if I'm just talking and making noise here. Organization skills. Organization skills simply talks about effectiveness, efficiency, productivity. Are you able to manage your time? Are you able to coordinate your work? Are you able to be a solution provider? Has your boss told you, I need you to work on this? Are you the one who deals with the thing the boss, the customer, the lecturer talks about a lot? If you're not able to deliver results, you will not succeed, okay? So it talks about efficiency, effectiveness, change management, agility, dynamism. O is organization skills. Why? People do business with people they like. And business is even in the NGO world. It's business. Hey, well done. I see you.
You take us.
You take us. Hey, tap someone. C, communication skills. R, relationship management. O, organization skills. Well done. W stands for writing skills. Ladies and gentlemen, I'll tell you, as long as you're a millennial, 80% of the time, your writing skills could be one of your greatest undoings.
Yeah.
Why? We have a generation of literate people who do not know how to write effectively. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to look for something called Grammarly. I'll even write it here. Grammarly is a free app. This free app, if you download it, whenever you type on WhatsApp, it'll tell you when it's a typo. Even if it's your friend, follow that instruction. Why? If you type wrong on social media, if you type wrong on WhatsApp, you will type wrong on email, you will type wrong in the workplace. You will not be promoted with bad writing. Many of you, your bosses say, I need to see every email before we send to a client. 90% of the time, it's not personal. Other people have sent emails to clients that were so embarrassing, they decided they have to look at every email. Be the person who your boss doesn't have to look at it. But be the person who always asks for a second opinion. Imagine when I am sending an email to a client, especially a proposal, something like that, I actually share with a colleague to give me feedback. Why? Writing is permanent. So I want to show up in the best way possible. So seek a second opinion. Ensure your writing skills is good. Avoid those things like TB, TB to be confirmed, TBC, TBD to be whatever, delivered, FYI. I've had all those, ignore. They're not effective communication. Even in the workplace, don't say noted, seen. Have a conversation. You would nenever pick up the phone and say noted. You would never pick up the phone and say seen. You'd never pick up the phone and say FYI. So you say, you'd have said, hello, Quinter, I just wanted to let you know that I've sent you the document. I hope you'll find it relevant. I think page 6 is what you are looking for. Hello, Quinter, I hope you're keeping well. I just wanted to tell you, you type exactly what you'd have said on phone. Writing skills means, I hope my connection is back. Writing skills mean you're able to connect as well writing as you do verbally on phone or in person. Finally, N is negotiation skills. In life, you don't get what you deserve, you get what you negotiate for. Negotiate. When you hear a salary is around this range, push for it a bit harder. Whenever you're able to accomplish something, put it down and ask for a raise. Don't ask for a raise during appraisal, ask for a raise before appraisal. If your appraisal is once a year in the workplace, ask for an appraisal every quarter. Tell your boss, don't tell him I want us to do an appraisal. Tell him I want us to meet maybe at the end of this month. You just give me feedback on how I'm doing. Why? Whether you meet your boss or not for an appraisal, their feedback for you remains in their head. You'd rather hear it, whether you like it or not. The more you get feedback, the more you give feedback, the higher your chances of negotiating. Be the one who negotiates with suppliers to get better rates for your place of work. Be the one who negotiates with your lecturers. Be the one who negotiates for, if you're in a club and you're in charge of a certain club and you're in the committee, be the one to push the envelope and go to the dean to ask for 1, 2, 3, 4. So develop negotiation skills, because the success is for those who negotiate well. So I think that's to address the first question. And then now we'll talk about personal finances. Personal finances, I want to talk about some things that Jewish people do. Is that okay? I want to talk about some things that Jewish people do. Jewish people, I think, are some of the richest people in the world. If you know a rich Jewish person, just share on the chat. A rich Jewish person globally. I tell you, these guys are said to be owning the world. Let's see how much you know about them. Guys who are rich Jewish globally, you'll be surprised. Zuckerberg actually was brought up in a Jewish home. In terms of the home he was brought up in was Jewish, but a lot of very successful people are Jewish. They are actually said to be owning the world because in terms of finances. So there are different principles they have that make the world of difference, that have helped them to become the effective people that they are. Sawa sawa? Okay, so number 1. So number 1, I want everyone to put their 5 fingers like this, 5 like that. Whether you can see me or not, you will learn better when it's experiential. So number 1 is first things first, okay? This finger, pointing finger, first things first. Eh? I have 3 children, 2 hard copy and 1 soft copy. Some of you might get what that means. Bill Gates, I didn't know Bill Gates is Jewish. Thank you, Alex. Google to confirm that, Alex. Let's say it somewhere else and it's not accurate. So thanks for sharing that. So Alex is saying Bill Gates is Jewish. So so my son, they do, you now learn to start singing their songs. Pointing finger, where are you? Can you imagine? I'm teaching you from based on my son, but it works. Why? Whatever you learned in nursery school, you do not forget. These things you're learning in university. I ask you in 2 years or 2 terms later, you can't remember. So pointing finger, where are you? First things first, they keep God first. Jewish are very spiritual. Even Zuckerberg himself, clearly I've been studying him, has been saying that of the more he's going on, the more spiritual he's becoming. I don't know how accurate that is, but that's what I read somewhere. But so the number one is keep God first. God owns everything. God is the one who knows about finances. He knows you, he knows your habits, and finances are a reflection of you to a great extent. So if you don't have your principles right, you'll be in trouble. So keep first things first. Keep God first. Keep your values right. He will keep you anchored. Why? Seasons of life happen. I tell you, seasons of life happen. One of the biggest struggles people are facing is suicide. And one of the issues with suicide, whether it's mental illness, whether it's financial hardship, all other ground is sinking sand. So you'll do Centonomy, you invest, and many of you know your parents' story. Think of your parents and their siblings. If your parents, if I'll talk of both your parents. So there's your dad and your mom. There's your dad and your mom. So for example, your dad came from a very rich family, and your mom, the family was not so rich. See, you know how it goes. You know your uncles. You see them, you know. So your dad, you said, who was rich? Dad or mom? From my example. Dad, eh? So dad was from a well-off family. Mom was not. Now there may be 50, 60, 70. If you put all these siblings together, you can't tell who was from which family financially, most likely. Some guys here moved here, some guys here moved here. Some rich people became not so rich and vice versa. Why? Because life happens. I'm sure you already know some of you, your parents were doing well, life crashed. Some of your parents, you've struggled all the way, but life happens. So the thing about it is if you're not anchored, you'll be in trouble. Life happens, whether you invest or not. So what will keep you grounded? First things first, okay? Yes. Number two, this one, see, we know this is the finger people get engaged. Number two, values. Your values. What do you mean by, and you notice it's a letter V, sindio? Number two is values. No, not on Google. But Warren Buffett, I hear Michael Bloomberg, Michael Dell, George Soros. What any? Jews. Do we need to say more? So if my principles you don't apply, shida yako. So you say number one, they keep God first. Number two, values. What do you mean by values? They really pursue doing the right thing. Corruption will eat you itself. It'll eat you. Kikulacho kinguoni mwako is another, you know, there's those manne ya kwanza ya pili ya tatu. For those who are not Kiswahili speakers, kikulacho kinguoni mwako. Someone translate for me there, then I'll read it. And translate for real. Don't translate funny things, direct translation. And basically we're saying that if you don't have values, your lack of values will eat you up. What will happen is values, you can get tangibles, but you lose the intangibles. Values can get you, lack of values, like corruption, can get you tangibles, but you lose the intangibles. What does that mean? You are able to steal from people, but guess what? Your children will steal from you. Does that make sense? So what was the wealth for? Because they learned to steal from you, whether you told them or not. Trust me, you guys know if your parents are corrupt or not. You know, they've never told you, but you know. You know your parent is corrupt or not. Your children will know if you're corrupt or not. And if they're corrupt, you know what I mean. You're less likely to respect them as much. So values, if you don't have the right values, it'll eat you up. You can't, this thing that people say, sleep your way up to in the corporate world, the same thing will bring you down. Uphold your values, uphold integrity, ask for forgiveness when you go wrong. Don't steal your employer's time, especially in the virtual world. You can't be doing something and lying to your employer, because if you steal from your employer, you're stealing from yourself, why you've become a thief, and thieves steal from each other, and thieves are always stolen from. Does that make sense? So you must have the right values. Are we there? Then number three, this is the marriage finger. Holla, if anyone thought I'm pretty, I'm married. Now, relationships. Relationships are critical. Relationships are critical. What do I mean? John Maxwell said something. The people closest to you will determine the level of your success. I'll say that 3 times. The people closest to you will determine the level of your success. I'll say that one more time. The people closest to you will determine the level of your success. Guys, I want you to write this down right now. Now. Write your 4 closest friends. Araka upesi. The ones that come to mind. Don't look for others. That one who comes to mind. That one you don't like. That one you're saying, but you don't spend too much time. That one who comes to mind. Write their names down. 1, 2, 3, 4. Write the initials. We don't have all that time. Write the initials. Have you done that? Done. If you've not finished, something is wrong. Either you don't know your friends or something is wrong. The 4 friends. Ladies and gentlemen, do you think these people will be wealthy in 10 years' time? Do you think they'll be significantly wealthy in 10 years' time? Do you think they have the right values and will keep those values in 10 years' time? Do these people keep God first? And you feel, the people who they are keeping God first, but you know who you see and no judging. But because they really are inconsistent. If you can say yes to the 3 things, those are people, you're likely to end up like that. 99% of the time. The level of your wealth, the people closest to you influence it to a great extent. In your 20s and 30s is where you form relationships. Trust me, your parents are not making new friends now.
Wow.
You know that, don't you?
Yeah.
This is it. So if your friends are not having the right values, if they're not keeping God first, if they don't have the right financial principles, then you're in trouble. If your friends are not saving and investing now, they're not likely to in future. I think I made the biggest savings and investments in my 20s. I think that's when, and the interesting thing, and very interesting, and habits don't die by them. But if you're not saving and investing in your 20s, you're not likely to in your 30s and 40s. I remember, like before Mkiba came up, and still when you want to buy, when you want to invest, depending on what you want to invest in, whether it's T-bills, whether it's bonds, you have to go. So you have to go physically. Incredibly, a lot of times in the queue, there are people in there. Most of the time, there are people in their 50s and people in their 20s. I know there are not too many people in their 30s and 40s, but I get really impressed seeing people in their 20s there. Okay, what does that mean? Relationships. The people around you determine the level of your success. Okay, so change your friends, change them now. Run if you must, but you want friends who you want your children to be like. I know you want friends who you want your children to be like. Cool. So number 4 is the relationships you form. Number 5, this is the middle finger. What the little finger? Little finger, little finger. Can you imagine my son's songs are the ones in my mind? This finger for the foot is said to be the one that gives you balance. That if you don't have it, especially at it depends on the age or an accident, I can't remember this. And it's not that, this finger is not, this finger is all the way here. So it's not this bit. It's all the way. You get all the way up to here. If you don't have it, you're likely to not be balanced. What are we talking about? Financial habits. Your financial habits may not be very visible, but they're the ones that determine how far you'll go. Because if you're not well balanced, you won't go far. So what financial habits do the Jewish people have? So all that I've shared, the Jewish people do. Okay, number 1, they keep God first. Number 2, they have a high level of integrity. When you have a high level of integrity, I'll give an example. Most of the people I'm working with now, a lot of clients we get, it's people who I was with in campus, and some I didn't know their name, but people see you and they're like, I think I can trust this person, or I don't trust this person. So when you're there, hi, drinking to the tea, if someone has a company and they want to give business, they won't give you. They're like, this one will drink my money, because they remember what you are like in campus. Because you're not likely to form a new brand later. It's the brand you form here and now. What I was going to habits. So they have jars. Every Jewish family has jars that they give their children. One of the jars, so when they're given 10 whatever, whether it's 10 shillings, $10, 10 pounds, whatever it is, depending on the country they're at, because they're all over the world. One of the jars is for savings. So if they have 10 shillings, I'll talk of shillings, or maybe say $10. If they're $10, $1 goes to $1 goes to the tithe jar. They give 10% to God, they give 10%. Those are principles they have. And if you look at the most successful companies, organizations worldwide, they give 10%, whether it's to society and all. So if you're not paying, you're in trouble. These are principles. And if you don't like it, observe people who do it, you will see it works. It's spiritual. If you want to call it scientific, call it that. Then 1 jar goes to giving. So this is what they go to church with every Sunday, or for them, it's not church. What do they call it? What do they call it? The Jews, their church. Write it down for me. So that's the second one. Okay. Then the 3rd jar, they put two of them, $2. They put saving. Okay, $2 they put saving. Are we there?
Yeah.
So $1 goes to tithe, $1 goes to giving, $2 go to or synagogue. Thank you, Peter, Alex, and Dorothy. And you take us. You take us. I knew, but I was just checking if you're listening. I'd forgotten. Thank you, guys. We were like, one is giving, one is tithe, 2 is saving. So we have 2. Okay.
3.
Then 2 is investing, and then 4 is spending. They play around 4 or 5. 4 or 5. Okay.
Those are 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So what do? The $1, the one for tithe, is only opened once a month. Once a month. The one for spending is opened once a week, which means you plan for your expenses for the whole week. What does that mean? If you're on M-Pesa more than once a week to withdraw, anyway, you get it. I mean, it depends on your transactions and all, but just be careful about that. So we've said the tithe, they do once a month. They open that jar once a month. The giving jar, they open once a week, which is every week. So are you giving on a weekly basis or do you wait for Christmas? The savings ones is opened half year. So at least you save for 6 months, and that's why here you must have a 6-month buffer. The saving ones is generally opened twice a year, half year. And the investment one is opened every 3 years. Are we there? And those are the principles they apply even in their businesses. So the question is, what do your jars look like? First, do you have the jars, whether it's your wallet, whether it's your account? And how do you go about it? I'll give an example. I think I said I invested the most in my 20s. One, I had to pay my campus fees. I had to, and I was in USIU. So first I was late to join campus. I joined about 4 years later, but it helped me to hustle. Hey, I hustled. Hey, I worked hard. Hey, I tell you, if your big brother was with me in campus, I didn't even have time to play with boys. I just look at a brother, I'm like, please. Anyway, so if you're struggling with fees, it's a blessing to you, my dear. God will come through and hustle. You're going to give thanks for it in the long run, because I cried many tears asking God for fees. So, but I learned one of the things is we had this place guys go for. It was called Macy's. So guys used to eat lunch for Sijui 150. Yeah. I just look at them. I'm like, say, you. Me, I had my 30 bob lunch. It was called chapo stew. So it was simply chapo soup. It was simply chapo soup and some cabbage. So I was next to those guys. They add me a bit of cabbage. So it was chapo cabbage. That's it. That was my lunch. And that was it. They are still there. So we are there and you're sitting next to someone eating. I don't know how much, but you say, I'm checking my weight. I had 2 pairs of jeans throughout my campus. 2, black and blue. 2. And by there I was rocking it. I even was, there's a time I was nominated for best dressed. I played around my tops. The tops I was buying at Ngara, and I'd do a scarf, and I'd change my Q-Tex every day. Q-Tex is not expensive. If I'm in peak, I have cute Q-Tex. My goodness, I had the time. I used to walk a lot. So if I have Q-Tex, then I walk. It'll dry on the way. Don't try it. It'll work for me. I can't do it anymore. I just had to get creative because I was like, what am I doing with 10 outfits? How many clothes can you wear in a day? Tell me, how many clothes can you wear in a day? 15. You can only wear 1 outfit 1 day. Guys, believe it or not, you come to my wardrobe, things haven't changed much. I normally have like 4 or 5 dresses. The lady who manages my social media keeps telling me, Faith, I need other photos. You have the same clothes, so I partner for social media. I'd be on TV, but I can be on TV and I have 4 pairs of shoes, including heels and flats. All that is in 4. That's it. And I'll have them for many. Why? Because how many shoes can I wear in 1 day? 15. No. Hiyo kiatu, ukinunua endelee kununua, utakuwa na katibia. Now, especially this, Emakiba. So you don't have an option of why you're not saving or investing. If I was able to hustle, pay for my fees, and save and invest, surely you can. And if you don't do it now, now in your old age, do I buy diapers? And diapers, you can't say how many diapers can you use in a day. You gotta buy diapers. So trust me, your options now are very simple. Ati, which mat do I have? You're buying an expensive mat. Are you serious? Choose where you live. Make it work for you. I remember, even where you live, be very wise about it. Don't want to live in a very uptown place that doesn't make sense. But even in that uptown, you can get an uptown with a very good rate. You can get a fantastic house in Westlands that has a Kangemi rate. Trust me, do your homework. So just be very careful with your spending. Ensure that you're saving, ensure that you're investing, and ensure that you have the right habits and systems and patterns. Join a chama that adds value. Don't join a merry-go-round chama. If your chama people don't read books, get out of that chama. If your chama people don't get a financial advisor, get out of that chama. If your chama don't have an expert coming at least once a quarter to advise you guys, get out of that chama. Why? If they don't have the right routines, they will not succeed. So I think the fifth one is, or the fourth one, it was four. The fourth one is the routines you have, the financial routines you have. What financial routines do you have? Do you have different bank accounts? I think when I was in campus, I opened like 4 bank accounts in one of the best banks in this country. Go ask them, which accounts do you have, and which one, and which one, and which one, and which one, and which student one. I'm still on some of those, I tell you. I definitely corporate accounts, but because you can save a lot of money with some of these accounts. There's something for everybody. Have different accounts where you save, where you invest, and then you don't touch that money. Ensure that if you're getting a chunk of money, if you're on a salary, ensure you do standing order for your saving and investment. Standing order. Be like KRA. You notice KRA take your money, then they say thank you for paying us, and they took it. Same thing. Let the money go for savings before you take it. But I'm sure I encourage you to join Centonomy, you will learn a lot. If you want to get married, I think that's one of the best things my husband and I did before he got married. You're just discussing, oh, I want a helicopter for my wedding. Boo, pay for Centonomy. Choose. The top 2 things breaking marriages in Kenya are in-laws and finances. I'll repeat. Top 2 things breaking marriages are in-laws and finances. You can't say, we sat down, we agreed. No. Go through a process that will help you. You will not be the same, but you'll have the same principles. And when we started, we thought we had the same principles, but it really helped us to align some things. You won't align on everything. You will still have different opinions, different mindsets, but it gives you a good principle. So one of the best investments in your marriage, PMCC and financial. I recommend Centonomy. It's one of the best things we did for us. I think I'll pause there. I have a feeling my time is up. Okay. Which are some of the forums one can invest in your 20s, except chamas? Emakiba. Just Google Emakiba, find out how to do it. That is one of the ways you can invest. Again, you need 3 buckets of finances. You need short-term, medium-term, and long-term. Short-term, like Emakiba is short-term. I think you get it in between 6 months and 1 year. Get medium-term. Medium-term now is when you go to a bit of, depending on what medium term looks like to you, a bit of, some bonds are more short term. So I highly recommend Central Bank of Kenya. Why? When you take your money to a bank, the bank takes it to Central Bank of Kenya, then they get the profit they got from Central Bank of Kenya, remove their profit, then give you. Okay, so there's that. And then there's the shares. There's shares. You can invest in shares. You can invest in the money market. Now, those ones you will learn when you join Centonomy. Hint, hint. Centonomy, I'll send you guys my invoice for that. Anyway, but yeah, you need to learn. Why? Because if finances, think of your parents, and the finances is one thing that you'll need till you're 70. Till you're 70. So all your school fees may not account to as much as doing a financial course. It doesn't have to be Centonomy, but invest in it. You just can't wake up and say, I know. You have to go into processes where you learn and you get a lot of income. Which are the best savings accounts in Kenya? Look at a bank you like. Go to a bank's social media, see if people are happy or people are annoyed. Social media will tell you the truth. Then walk to that bank and ask them a question. Ask them, what are the hidden charges? It depends on what you'd like. I prefer accounts that, it depends, different phases of life, you have different needs. For example, if it's a corporate account, definitely you'll pay a little more because of the needs you have. Personal account, when you're younger, go to a bank that has minimum fees. If you have a friend who's a banker, ask them. But ask 3 bankers who work in different banks. They'll tell you the truth. And trust me, you know a banker. So ask them. I'm a big believer for global banks. I do love local banks and support local banks. And ensure you have a balance of both. So do your homework. Do your homework. Do your homework. Okay? Because what I say may not work for you. Okay? But go to social media a lot. talk to people who are in the financial space, talk to your banker friends. Your friends are in banking, ask them, they'll tell you the truth. Okay. I highly recommend money market fund. A big one is the organization you invest in. I won't talk of which organizations work and which one don't work. Because yeah, some are tricky. I'll be honest with you. I've invested in some and some are tricky. So you just have to keep working on it. How can you hustle online? You can do almost anything online. Now there's even surgeries are being done virtually. Okay, like the expert tells the other expert in the other country how to do the surgery. You can do anything online. So find out what your gifts are, what you're best at. Find out your gifts. Play by your strengths. They said Michael Jordan played golf once, and they found out he had. But then Michael, just feel free to say which is time up. So Michael Jordan, they found out that he was very good in golf, very good in golf. They actually told him he had the capacity to become the best golfer in the world. This is after he retired from basketball, or when he was about to retire. And he said, "No, I'm okay." And people asked him, "Why? Why don't you do it?" He said, I can be the best basketballer that ever lived, but I may not be the best golfer." You can't be the best at everything. Find out what your biggest strength is and see how to do it online. Because now, especially with COVID, there's hardly anything you can't do online. Are you good at writing? Start writing for people online. Do you love social media? Start managing people's social media online. Do you love doing maths and accounts? Be an accountant for someone virtually. Just tell them, send me a screenshot of all your receipts and I'll help you to do your books in terms of accounting. Are you passionate about children's home? Find out what they need virtually. Find out, do they need to fundraise virtually? Do they, whatever it means. So find what you like. You can do it online. Does that make sense? Don't look for what is online that I can do. No. What can I do? How can I do it online? There's hardly anything you can do online. A lot of people will even pay you to spend time with their children online. If they're 100% sure you will take care of their children and invest in them, but then you have to learn. There are courses you can do online, being teaching online, okay? If you love cooking, you can do it online. Last one, I was to share one more.
Okay.
Sawa, thank you for that. All right. Number one, we said is first things first. Number two, we said values. It's a V, hala. Number three, we said relationships are important.
Relationships.
Number four, we said is the routines. Number five is time. Time. And this finger goes round like this. You notice it? It goes like a clock. Is it going round? Okay, it's going round on my side. If it's not going round on your side, it's your side that is wrong. Time is your greatest gift. 8 to 5, are you investing in solving problems? If the same complaints are coming about your job, about your department, then you're not the right person. They'd rather replace you. Why? If they replace you, someone will come and sort it out. Okay, then time, between the time you're not at work, you have 10 hours. If you wake up at 5, 6, 7, 8, those are 3 hours. Then there's lunchtime. Then there's 5 p.m. to maybe 10, 11 p.m. before you sleep. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Those are 10 hours. What are you doing with your 10 hours? The 10 hours you have determine how far you are. If you left high school 10 years ago, you already know where you and your colleagues are. The difference is 8 to 5. How many of you invested in solving problems, and the 10 hours while you're watching a series? By the way, series is a no-no except a public holiday. You're watching a series, that full day, that was a series. Someone went for chama, they went to church, they invested in their physical health, they invested in friendships. You're watching a series. And whoever did that series, see, you've been seeing their stories. They are kind of people. They're not watching series all day. Number 5, time. That's it. Campus student Campus student can invest in Emakiba. I'll hand it over to Michael.
Wow. Thank you so much. Now, I like you started by answering a question from the previous speaker, and then also going now deep into your talk, and then how you started with your crown. Yeah, you said we need to work on our communication. We need to work at our relationship management, our organization skills, our writing skills, especially as millennials, and then also our negotiation skills. Yeah, did I get it right?
Well done, my dad is Michael. So yes, Michael are good people.
And then you also talked about Michael Jordan, and then I also saw when you asked about the Jews, I saw a few Michaels there, so it's a Michael thing. Right?
Yeah.
Good. And then you talked about the 5 things, yeah, that we should always keep in mind, yeah.
Yeah, that
The
Jewish
first one is we
people
always
do.
have to be, yeah, that Jewish people do that we should look up to. The first one you said we should always have something that keeps us grounded, and that is our spirituality, right? And God, right? And then the second thing is our values, right? Our integrity. Third thing is our relationships, and then fourth thing is our routines, our habits, our patterns, and then the fifth thing is our time. What we spend most of our time doing, yeah. And you are right, spot on the series, yeah. I know very, very, very many of us are victim to that, yeah. But yeah, thank you so much, Faith, for your time. It's always a pleasure, listening to you, getting drawing from your fountain of knowledge, yeah. It's always a pleasure. Thank you also for answering the questions. Now, as you were answering the questions about finances and you were talking about how people should save and invest, I was feeling like I was in class already, right? Because you gave us so many tips, yeah? And the one that you said that stuck to me, and is this we always preach at Centonomy: pay yourself first, like how KRA does it, pay yourself first, have a standing order, right? If you're salaried, yeah, it's always good to have a standing order so that when you're paid, that money, you don't even see it. It has already gone to your saving or to your investment, yeah? And then you also talked about some of the avenues that young people can use to invest. You talk about Emma Kiba, right? Which is just a government bond that you can now buy through your phone, yeah? Back in the day, for you to buy a government bond, you had to go physically to central bank, where you're saying most of the people you meet there are young people and people in their 20s and in their 50s, right? So now the government has made it even closer, even easier for us young people to invest. Imagine through your phone, you can now purchase a government. And we talk about all these things in the Centonomy Campus Edition program. And I personally teach that module on savings and investments, yeah? So we talk about all the questions you're asking about which bank account should I have? We talk about that in the Centonomy Campus Edition program, right? We always say that you should have at least 2 accounts, at least 2 accounts, yeah? One is for saving and the other one is for spending, right? Because you cannot be saving in the same account that you're using money, you're going to swipe at Carrefour or at Naivas or something, yeah? And you cannot be using that same account to save, right? You can also not be using that same account to invest, yeah? So we say at least have 2 accounts, at least, right? One is for saving and the other one is now for your day-to-day expenditure, okay? Now, we talk about all these things in the Centonomy Campus Edition program, where you can invest. All these things that, Faith was talking about, the bonds, all these things that you're talking about, the unit trusts, yeah? We talk about them. All these things, we talk about them. We tell you how they work and the kind of returns that you might get from them, yeah? We also show you the right one for you, because we say saving and investment is different depending on what you want to get from your saving, depending on what you want to get from your investment. It might be long term, it might be short term. You might need to get income now and then, or you might need for your capital to grow, right? Or you might just be looking for somewhere that you want to preserve your capital, yeah? So we give you all these principles in the class so that now you can make, a wise decision, right? Depending on now the kind of information that you have and what you want to achieve, all right? So again, thank you so much, Faith. If you have some time, Faith, I believe we have one question from, I think it is a burning question from June. June Mutheo has raised their hand. And June, I believe your question should be very burning. Yes, ask.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
it's burning. You mentioned a very awesome quote by a guy called Maxwell. I forgot his other name, and I'd like to use that quote in my speech someday. Do you mind saying it again?
The people closest to you determine the level of your success. I'm typing it.
All right, thank you. Great. As I was saying, thank you so much, Faith. Would have loved to have you talk and give us more and more wisdom and more nuggets on matters personal finances, matters business, and matters how we ourselves as young people can go on, can be wealthy and successful. But as you said, time is not on our side, and we need to welcome our next speaker, who is Mr.
Sorry,
Amani.
may I one last thing, Michael? Sorry, before you introduce the next speaker.
Sure.
Thank you, everybody. It's been an absolute pleasure. Some of you have side chatted me and asked you, how can I reach me? How can you reach me? I'll be sharing more financial principles there and more principles of how to grow and all. So go to Faith Muturi. I've just shared it. Faith Muturi on Facebook, Faith Muturi on Instagram, Faith Muturi. Yes, soon I'm opening a YouTube channel. We can connect there. So thank you, everybody. Michael, keep up the good work. Asanteni.
Thank you so much, Faith. And guys, you can see how you can connect to Faith. And Faith, if you don't have something that's coming up, you can hang around in the chat box and answer a few more questions. Yeah.
Okay.
Asante sana. Thank you so much.
Can't promise I'm in between calls, but yeah, let's see how it goes.
Great. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Ida, someone has asked how they can join the Centonomy program, so you'll answer that.
Ida, don't you worry. Esther, please reach out to Ida and see how you can help them join the Centonomy Campus Edition program, which I believe should be starting on the 8th of October. And we're going to be talking about it later on after Mr. Amani Shayo has spoken. So right about now, I'd like to invite Amani. Great. Amani.
Hello, Michael.
Jambo.
Jambo. How are you doing?
Jambo from Nairobi. How are you doing all the way from Tanzania?
All is well. Thank you very much for having me. How is everyone in Kenya?
We're all great. Ready and eager to hear what you have prepared for us.
Thank you very much. I also was part of the conversation with Faith and learned so much. Thank you very much, Centonomy, for organizing this. It's such a huge platform, and I'm happy. I've just seen the people who have registered. I always pose the question that Tanzania also, we would like some platforms like this, and we want to see also my fellow Tanzanian young people grabbing this opportunity. So I believe sooner or later we should have such an opportunity. But yeah, thanks. And everyone who tuned in for today, I'm glad this is my second time doing an engagement with Centonomy. The first one was early in July, and I was really happy about it. And I'm a fan now. I'm waiting to have a physical interaction with everyone.
So, all right, great. Thank you so much, Amani. I am going to give you the podium right now. So go ahead, introduce yourself. Tell us a little bit more about yourself, what you do, and then go ahead and give us your presentation. Thank you.
Okay, good. Thank you very much, Michael. So as Michael introduced, my name is Amani Shayo from Tanzania. I'm currently the program manager at Empower. Empower is a human capital firm focusing entirely on talent acquisition, management consulting, but also we do advisory services, learning and development. Work a lot with corporate partners, development partners, but also individuals on support of their career search, and also support individuals when it comes to personal coaching and development. So personally, I'm a fan of learning, continuous learning. I've been an ISECer in my entire year when I was in university for 3 years, and after that, and that's when I also got the opportunity to have some Kenyan friends. I've been in Kenya a couple of times, so Kenya feels like it's also my home place is close to Kenya, so it's very good that I got this chance to interact. So currently, what I'm doing personally, I engage on advisory department where I provide services to different clients when it comes to strategic or management advice. But also I work under the youth department, which we focus on youth engagement activities, but also programs that support young people to have either a successful career before university or after university. So that is just in a nutshell. Also a member of WEF Leadership program, which is here in Dar es Salaam. And I'm happy to be here today speaking to you on how to build a foundation for your business. And when I was being invited to speak on this topic, I was first excited because, again, I had the first engagement with Centonomy on the main page. So it was a good one that I had the privilege to talk with young people in the campus edition and to talk about business. So a disclaimer, I personally, I don't own any business or I don't run any business, but my work is all around advising people on area of management consulting, which is either processes or consult in terms of people development, or to consult different areas on strategies and how to really help them improve their operations and efficiency. So this topic is something that I'm passionate about, and I would want to just do a quick one, because I understand from this call we have quite a number of people, and I will want everyone to just feel free to use the chat box. Stop me anytime when you can't ask questions. I'm going to share my experience on what I think are the foundations for you to have a successful business. But before that, I would want everybody to even type what business ideas do you have, or what exactly, not necessarily that you're currently doing now, or something that you'd want even to do later. So anything that you would want to do, or anything that you're currently doing that you consider it as a business. And I will read that chat as we go. So starting with this topic, I have one of my best quote, which is the only difference between here and there is T. So if you type here and there, you see the only difference there is T, and T is equivalent of time. So anything that you're planning to achieve in your life, the only thing that separates you from that goal that you have is time. And I think having these conversations now is really important, because grow up in an African context where a lot of times we are being told not to do something. And today, 2020, we are here discussing businesses with African young people. I think for me, this is a success, because now we are trying to really challenge the status quo. So we are on a rate where young people understand that we don't have to wait to start our businesses when we are 30-something, when we are 40-something. We can start now. And for me, that is key message, that anyone who is in this call today, you might not have that business idea, or you might have that business idea, but don't doubt yourself, because already we have platforms that Centonomy that now invite us these conversations for us to start our businesses. So why did I say the difference between here and there is time? Because we are talking about foundation, and we are not talking about foundation. That means you're actually building something. So there's a vision that you have. There's a picture that drives you to know exactly how your foundation should look like. Just look at it as a house. So you might have a very beautiful picture for your dream home that you want to build, and you know exactly how you want it to look once it's complete. But foundation is everything. And the foundation really determines how long that house will last, but also it determines the value of that house, because sometimes things that we don't see are the things that really gives value to items or things that we own. So as we talk about foundation, I will not, this is a disclaimer, I will not give any tips in terms of the business ABCs, because I will give you my mantra in terms of what I believe should be the foundation. So talking about business. So for any business to succeed, in my opinion, for any business to succeed, you need an idea. So what is it that you want to do? But also it needs someone to implement that idea, which that someone can either be you or a group of people to implement that idea. And the last now, it needs, let's say, a user, or someone. The user can be defined as customers, the user can be defined as the beneficiaries, and this business can be in any form, either a direct enterprise or a social enterprise. So because we're talking about foundation, and I truly believe the biggest foundation when it comes to business development or building a business is you, because you are the only thing that is constant. And the ideas that you might have, for those who are currently doing any business, or those who have ideas that they want to implement, trust me, not those might be relevant now, but 10, 15 years down the line is not necessarily that's going to be the only thing that you're doing. So why investing in things that they might change because of so many factors, like technology might change, and what appeals to us now might not be necessarily to what will appeal to us 5 years down the line. But the only thing that is going to be solid in the three things needed to start a business, it's you. So the person who is going to implement that idea. So there's a famous quotation, most of the innovation guys say, you should not be married of your ideas, or you should not be married with your solutions, be married with the problem. So fall in love with the problem. Find exactly what problem you're trying to solve. And as you go, you might find solution that caters for that problem now. In 2013 might not be the solution, but the problem might still be there. So because we're interested more in finding solutions to the problems, so you are the key and the first important resource when it comes to building the foundation. So it's about you as an individual. How can you maintain that? Because the entrepreneurship spirit is all that matters. At the end of the day, if you are an entrepreneur, you can start a business and it can fail and you can start something again. And that is something that we have the privilege now at this young age. If we are able to start now, we have the privilege to fail faster, and we have the privilege to learn from our mistake. And I think it will really put us quite far ahead on the game. So now I'm going on the how. Okay, you've already understood the foundation is all about you, because you are the most important resource in starting a business. How can you actually do it? So I've put it down to 3 things. And thank you very much, Faith, who already gave so much on the things that I intended to do. And I'm not going to do repetition for that matter. So I truly believe you need to look at yourself and assess in 3 thematic areas. The first is, what are the skills you need for you to actually be successful in the business world? So skills, that's the first thematic area. Number 2, what knowledge you need to possess for you to be successful. And number 3, what network do you have? Because remember, the things are needed for you to start a business is the idea, which the idea comes from knowledge. If you have enough knowledge, you are able to generate idea as fast as you can, as many times as possible. Number 2 is the person to implement that idea. So if you talk about the person to implement this idea, is the skill. What are the skills that you possess, or the experience? Number 3 is the user. So the user can be on, and the first user are people in your network. So these are the 3 things. Now I'll build it down to, these are the hows. When it comes to skills, Faith already spoke so much about it. The skills that you need to possess. And just to mention few, and these are things that you can start do now as you envision that you have a business in few years to come. So things like communication skills, things like people management, things like record keeping, financials, time management. The list can go quite long, but Faith already explained the most important skills that as of now, we might look at them and say, it might not be important, but trust me, a lot of big multinational businesses are struggling because people within those organizations, they lack their skills. And such organization like Empower, for us, what we're doing, when it comes to learning and development, this is basically the solution that you're providing. A lot of people are currently in the business world, but they don't have the right competencies, or they don't have the right skills for them to be successful. So you as a young person right now, you're in this call, you have the opportunity to be able to know what are the skills that you're missing, either through direct engagement with the people that you know, or feedback, and then you can develop those skills. So as I think one of the biggest assumption out there is time management kills Africans. You know, like even we have a phrase that it's either an African time or German time. So that's the thing that we need to challenge at status quo. And you cannot do businesses with people that think like that, think that you're working in an African time context. So, and it's not a classroom setting for you to sit down and have a lecture on time management, but rather it's what you do from now. How do you manage your time right now for you to be able to be successful when it comes to starting on businesses? So things like record keeping, any business, you need records, and financial management. These are things that Centonomy is trying to instill to young people. So how can you position yourself to acquire these skills as much as you can? You need to be a sponge in such a way that you absorb the skills as much as you can, so as to be successful when it comes to starting your own business or to venture in any business that you want. And the thematic area number 2 is knowledge. This is where I think I'll go a little bit deeper. So knowledge comes from doing things. Knowledge is a combination of everything that we've been doing and making sense of it. So our experience is equivalent to how much we know. So if you are interested in books, there's someone who wrote a book on the rule of 1,000 hours. So someone believed that if you practice something for 1,000 hours, you'll be good at it. And yes, there are a lot of discussions around that rule, that it is not always it's direct, it's not always straight, but for me, what I get is consistency. What if you know that you're interested in a certain industry? For example, you're interested in gaming. It's one of the industries that is currently growing. And looking at the context of Africa, for example, we are not yet there. But look, who in here does not enjoy games? For example, I hope majority enjoy games. And we might look at it as something to enjoy, but you might look at it as something to start business in and to contextualize it in an African context. So how can you absorb as much knowledge as you can now? So because if you are the average age in this call, we might be 20 something. If you take 1,000 hours, you'll need 2 years or 3 years for you to actually be good at it, in a sense that understanding how does the entire business of gaming operate, and also what are the opportunities available. Or another thing is beauty. So that is also something that is a big business right now in the world, but in an African context, we're still users, and very few, we have very few brands of our own and people that are trying to bring something like this. So I just pick some few examples to show exactly how can we absorb as much knowledge as possible in understanding the dynamics in different sectors that you're interested. And you can be interested in sports, you can be interested in beauty, you can be interested in, for example, e-learning, you can be interested in so many things, but knowledge is key, knowledge is power. And that is where we lack, especially that we have to catch up. So in Africa, we are playing a game of catching up. We have first to, the technology is quite ahead. So by the time we catch up, the rest of the world is quite far. But if you're a young person, you have that drive and you can invest in knowledge. Knowledge comes from reading books. Knowledge comes from being associated with people in the same caliber, that people have interest in the same things, but also knowledge comes from trying right now, from actually do the doing. So don't end up having business ideas in your head. Can you try to get it out, try to start and implement those ideas, because from there you'll be able to fail, because I believe failing is a good opportunity to learn. You'll be able to fail faster and get the feedback you need for you to be successful. Also things like business operations. If you start a business now, even if how small it is, you'll realize that you grow with the business. So to grow with the business is understanding how different processes work in an institution or in an organization. It can be as simple as you understand that there's actually a coordination between what you produce or what you sell and a service or product, and the people that facilitate for it to get to the user. So understanding all those dynamics, if you are able to get a practical learning experience from your own initiative, or just engage somewhere that will expose you to that, then you're in a better position to be a successful business owner. And the last is the network. I think for me, the network here is where we are not serious about it, or we are taking it for granted, because when we talk about the network, it has a huge implication on the people that either give us the motivation to do what we want to do, but also our prospect customers and our prospect business partners. So things that we do every single day, most of the times a lot of our network is, yes, digital. Social media has brought this wave where we built a lot of network through different platforms like Facebook, Instagram. So how can we use these businesses, how can we use these platforms to position our businesses for success? As I said, not necessarily that you have an actual business, but you might have a business idea. If you look and reflect on what you do every single day online, does it add to your network, or does it add to your network? And if it does it add the right people in your network? So that is something that you need to look at. How can you build this network? And Faith, as Faith explained, what are the different groups that you associate yourself with? We have different students' organizations, for example. this student organization give you the exposure to interact with people from different industries, give you the exposure to even work with your fellow colleagues and engage in a conversation that really gives you an opportunity to see what you can do in different sectors. So building the network, that is key, but also when it comes to building the network is highly dependent on the sector, or highly dependent on areas that you're interested in. So you know for sure that if you are interested in a certain sector, there are certain requirements. For example, you want to engage in tourism. For example, it's one of the biggest sector that has a lot of opportunities. Then you know what are the groups that you need to be associated yourself with. So this, for me, those are the 3 pillars in terms of what you can do, and the exact details in terms of moving forward, I would really say it's all about deciding. Once you decide that I want to start a business, or I'm interested in owning my own business someday, then it's just a matter of you knowing what are the skills you need and how can you go about that? What knowledge you need to possess and how can you get it? Right now, we are in the world where everything is accessible. We have so much knowledge out there, and it's up to you to grow and grab it. And also the network, how can you grow your network for you to be able to position your business for success? So doing all the 3, I believe the outcome should be, first, you have the ability to understand the element of risk, because any business is all about risk. So as we said, I said failing is an opportunity, especially right now, because when you fail, you're able to learn and adapt. And risk is something that separates everyone who wants to do a business and someone who does not want to do a business. So there are the risk appetite. So if you are able to try now, you are a little bit on a safe net, because it will reach a point in our life where the risk that we take does not only have an implication to us, but it has an implication to the family members, it has an implication to the society, and you cannot take it just because it's only about you. But right now, I might make an assumption, which I stand to be corrected. If you start a business and you fail, at least you have a place to go and sleep. If you start a business and fail, at least you have people that can advise you and say, like, you know what, try again. So how about we use this opportunity now and get used? It will be more adaptive and understand that risks are there, and we need to start taking either calculated risk and moving forward. But also another thing is consistency. So most of the times we don't succeed because of consistency. If you start early, you'll be able to first understand how you work best, and also what are the areas that really sparks fire within you, because there's no such a thing as you want to work in a certain industry and you don't have passion about it. So you can start now and build that consistency up. But the last is to really understand the business acumen, how different sectors work, how different procedures work, how the businessman operates. And it's an opportunity that we are given now with such platforms like Centonomy. So for me, I would say this is just a simple snippet of what I think I should share. I would like to take if there's any question. I thought very quick because of what has already been discussed in terms of the skills, knowledge, and network. But the last thought that I would just give it with you is the biggest resource any business need is you as an individual. And if you need to invest, you need to invest in yourself, because if you are competent, if you are capable of starting a business, then you position yourself for success when it comes to businesses in operation in Africa. Thank you.
Wow, Amani, fantastic. I love it. We call it, it's short and sweet.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for that. Now, just to echo what you said, yeah, just to also make sure that I was in class and I was listening. First of all, Amani, you are an ISECA, right?
Yes, I'm an ISEC alumni.
Great. Tell us about your experience in ISEC, and also tell the people on this call why it is important to have, such networks, because you've talked about networks, yeah?
Yes.
How has being in ISEC opened up networks for you?
Okay, that's good. So my ASIC journey started back in 2013 at the University of Dar es Salaam when I was going for my first degree. And I joined ASIC even before I finished my university registration because I had few brothers that were already in, and they gave me that idea of how exactly ASIC helped them to succeed. So I started as a normal member, and I had an interesting journey in ASIC, working in talent development. So by then I was doing statistics and economics, but in ASIC I was doing entirely talent development. And I started at our local chapter. How ASIC structured is you start with the local chapter, and then there's a national chapter, regional, and then ASIC international. So throughout the journey in ASIC, I get the opportunity first to learn so much about myself. I think for me, is one thing that ASIC gave me is I learned so much about myself. I really learned what exactly that I want to do, and also what exactly that I lack in terms of position me for, let's say, my career trajectory. So I did a couple roles in the local chapter, national chapter, and I got the privilege to work also at the regional chapter when it comes to talent development. So 60, if not 70% of what I'm currently doing is what I used to do in ASIC, and I learned it for free in a sense that somebody gave me the opportunity to stand in front of people and train. And I was training I was training other young people in Tanzania. I came to Kenya to facilitate a conference. I traveled to Rwanda. I traveled to different countries, and that is what I'm currently doing at work. So also ASIC gives you the opportunity to do things practically. So simple things like organizing an event. You are giving this bigger picture. We have a national event. We need companies. We need people. Organize this event. The skills that I picked in whilst organizing those events are the skills that I'm currently using at work. So you could see these are things that I got for free. But well, by doing it, there was a price to pay in terms of time, commitment. I had to let go some, let's say, some weekend catch up with some of the friends so as to be able to organize successful events or conferences. So that is something that I would say ASIC really gave me. And what I could tell in terms of networks or engage in these groups is the people that you meet are the people that you grow together. So right now, even my interaction with Centonomy is through an ASIC friend who is in Kenya. And for me, that is, okay, wow, because here in Tanzania, yes, I could probably engage with Centonomy, but not at this level. But through an ASIC friend who we have worked together and they know exactly what I'm passionate about and the ability that I have, then that's when I had this opportunity. And it goes vice versa. I have ASIC friends also in Kenya that I also engage them when you have similar activities here in Tanzania. So somebody asked, what is ASIC? Maybe just to give you a snippet. So ASIC is, I believe it's still the leading student youth-led organization. So it operates in globally. So by the time I was leaving, it was in 126 countries. I believe because of the timing, maybe the number might have changed. But it gives young people the opportunity to explore leadership by providing them with by facilitating exchange. So we give you the opportunity to go and volunteer or doing a professional internship in a different environment. And from doing such, we believe you develop 4 leadership elements, which is self-awareness, global citizenship, solution-oriented, but also empowering others. I believe those were the 4 elements that we try to develop in every young person. And it's already also in Kenya, and I know ASIC in Kenya is the mother entity because it's what gave birth to ASIC in Tanzania. So I know it's there. You should look it out in the university that you're in. And I really, really encourage you to join because it will give you so much.
All right, great. Thank you. Now, one of the reasons I told you to talk about ASIC is because I know ASIC has a serious people, right? And you know, from the previous speaker, they said the people closest to you that determine your level of success. Yeah. So if you're close to ASICers, then definitely you will be successful, right? Another reason why I asked you to talk about ASIC is because ASIC is one of our partners, and we actually have a a discount for all ASICers who come and join Centonomy, right?
Nice.
So that
nice.
is why I told you to talk about ASIC. Right now, great. One thing I learned from you is that the only difference between here and there is T, and T stands for time. Great.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. Now, you know, as young people, you know, one of the best things that we have at our disposal is the availability of time, right?
Yes.
And time cuts across the board, right? If it's what you've talked about, like starting a business and probably not succeeding, right? Right now, when you have the time to fail now, because you're young. Because as you said, the risk that you have now when as a young person might not be, as much when you're older, when you have more responsibilities, when you have a family to think about, when you have, all these other things to think about. So right now, us as youth, we have the time. So if we can make use of our time nicely, if we can start businesses now and fail now and learn now, and then start the next business and then learn quickly from there, then I think we'd be on a very, very, very good path to being successful entrepreneurs. Yeah. Now, and then you also said about we need to have a strong foundation. Okay.
Yes.
We need to have a strong foundation, and then we also need to have an idea.
Yes.
Right. Now, we need to have an idea, and then this idea now needs to have users, and users are now customers or people who might now require your assistance, so that now your idea is coming now to now solve their problem, right? Now, I like what you said about the three key things that we need to have. And the number one thing that you said is skills, right?
Yes.
You need to have skills. And number two thing is knowledge, right? Skills and knowledge. Now, at Centonomy, we are all about skills. We are all about knowledge, right? No, first of all, at Centonomy, our purpose is to shift the mindsets of purposeful people, like everyone in this call right now. Everyone in this call right now is purposeful. Why? Because they have taken their time to come here on this Friday and listen to what other people have to say, right? Now, these are purposeful people, and we're all about empowering them and shifting their mindsets so that now they can start creating wealth and living abundantly. How we do this is by giving you guys information. We give you guys knowledge on how you can manage your finances, how you can grow your business, how you can grow in your career. And we do this through the Centonomy Campus Education Program. We also do this through such kind of talks that we have and invite, people like Amani who have, very, very, very knowledgeable about, their areas, in leadership, in business, right? So we are all about giving people skills and giving people knowledge through Centonomy, right? And then you also talked about networks, right?
Yes.
At Centonomy, we talk about the 3 Fs. In business, you have the 3 Fs, and these are the people that you should try your business on. If you have a business idea, try them on your 3 Fs. And the first F is your family, right? Try out your business idea with your family. The other one is your friends. Try out your business idea with your friends. And then the other one, if you are lucky enough to convince, we call them a fool. If you're lucky enough to convince a fool to buy your product or to buy your service, then you're in business, right? Now, these people, you can get them through your networks, right? And Amani, you talked about networks as your last thing, yeah? And I just want to emphasize that in business, networks is very, very important, right? Because these are the people who are going to validate your idea, right? These are the people who are going to give you immediate feedback. I got your product, this is great, but you need to work on this, you need to work on this, you need to work on this, yeah? So again, your networks come in handy, right? And in Centonomy, the Campus Edition program, we have a module on entrepreneurship, on how we can come up with a wealth creation mindset. And we talk about how you can have an idea, how you can test it to your friends, how you can also come up with a business plan in one page. How people have business plans, page to page to page. At Centonomy, we give you a business plan in one page. We call it the business model canvas. Yeah. And now this document is easy for you. You can test it out with your networks now and see if your idea is going to kick off or not. So Amani, thank you so much. And then he also said that we need to decide as people. We need to decide, and that we, you, or let's say I, as an individual, I am the most important bit in all this. Yeah. So I need to invest in myself. So everyone on this call, you need to invest in yourself. We all need to invest in ourselves. Yeah. Either by signing up for a course, joining a club, getting a mentor, or do something, right? Invest in yourself. right? Now, Amani, if you allow me, I'd like to invite any question from anyone in the chat box, anyone listening in. If you have questions that you want Amani to answer, here is your chance. You can ask on the chat box here, or you can also, if it is burning, you can raise your hand on the participant section, and then Amani will be able to answer your question. I see people who are asking about ISEC, right? If you want more information about ISEC, you can just go to your local campus and see if you have ISEC there, and you can join, right? All right, I see other questions are coming. Amani, Gloria is asking, is there any other way to invest in yourself aside from certifications and the like? Amani.
Yes. So, Gloria, thank you for asking that question. I think, yes. And so the good thing is, even ISEC, we don't really provide certification. If you meet anyone say they have a certificate from ISEC, that they're lying. There's not any certificates in ISEC. So, as personally, when I said the biggest gift I got from ISEC was understanding myself. So different ways to invest or to really put more resources to build yourself up apart from certification. Look at what are the skills that you're missing, and having a certain skill is not, the certificate should not approve you having that skill. So I would say do things. For me, that's that thing that really came out of my experience. Do things. Try to get your hands on. If you're passionate about sales, can you get someone to give you that opportunity and sell now? If you're passionate about pick any business that you're interested on and find somebody to give you that opportunity to try and do it now. So even books, yes, they're okay, but don't end up reading 20,000 books without doing anything. So, you know, the Pareto efficiency rule. Read, absorb 20 knowledge, do 80%. So try as much as you can to do things, get your hands on. Try as much as you can to get your hands on. Another thing is, how can you advise businesses but doesn't own one? Yes, as I said, I believe if everyone owned a business in this world, then we won't have people to employ. And I put it as a disclaimer with a lot of confidence that there are a lot of people that have businesses, but they don't have the knowledge on how to operate those businesses. So I would say my business is here, intellectual. And I'm currently investing on myself to even be better on what I'm doing. So I'm investing on the skills, I'm investing on the knowledge. So I want to become better in what I'm doing in terms of management consulting, advise those people with businesses. So that is an area that also not necessarily for you to actually have a business to advise someone. So you can have the skill, you can have the knowledge, and you can advise people with the business.
Great, thank you for that. Yes, Amani, consulting is a business, right? So you see, all the information that you just gave us here, there's someone who can pay for it. I am sure.
Yes.
I am sure. Right?
Yes.
So that in itself is a business. All right. So yes. Thank you so much, Amani. Thank you for jumping onto the call, and also thank you for everyone who has participated. Thank you for everyone who's taken your time. Thank you so much. Thank you for everyone on the back end, Esther and Charity, for organizing this. Now, this talk was brought to you courtesy of Centonomy Campus Edition, right? Centonomy Campus Edition is a program for people in between the ages of 17 and 24, and we teach you through principles of personal financial management. We take you through time value of money and debt. I also take you through saving and investments, which is my favorite module, because I get to show you guys some of the mistakes that I made when I was young, when I was investing. And then I also show you the kind of returns that you can get in the Kenyan market or in any other market for that particular matter on anything that you want to invest in, all right? And then we also talk about the entrepreneurship, the wealth creation mindset. how can you, actualize your business idea into an actual idea, into an actual business, sorry. And then we also talk about career planning, what the first speaker was talking about and what we talked about being the red car, how you can be different, how you can differentiate yourself in your career so that you can be recognized and so that you can climb up the career ladder quickly. And then after all this, we come up with a mentorship class where we get, someone who's been through this to come and show you what they did, come and also show you the kind of mistakes that they did and what they learned from them, and then also so that you can avoid them, right? And then in the mentorship class, we also give you people, give the people who have registered a chance and an opportunity to present their business models, which they were given as an assignment on the fourth module, which is entrepreneurship. We give you an assignment to come up with a business model, and then you come and you present it to us on your sixth class, which is the mentorship class and the graduation class, right? I see someone is asking how much it is. Right now, the program, as you can see right there on the screen, is 13,600. If you register today, you get a discount of 500. So, like more information on this, you can talk to Esther at centonomy.com. All right. And I forgot to mention that the classes start on the 10th of October. So on the 10th of October is when we begin with module 1, where we'll now start off on the journey of a 6-week program on how you can be, fully empowered on how you can take care of your finances, how you can save, invest, grow your business, and also grow in your career. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining on today's call. See you next time, and God bless. And before I finish, I'd like to mention that next week, same place, same time, we're going to have a taste of Centonomy Campus Edition class. So we're going to be having our CEO, Mr. Waidaka Gatumia, who is going to give us a taste, kionjo 2 of how Centonomy Campus Edition class is like. So if you'd like to experience the class, join in on the call on next Friday, same time. Thank you. And yes, just to mention that we are now going to season 30 of the Centonomy Campus Edition program. So we've done this for 30 seasons right now. All right. So thank you everyone for jumping onto the call. I hope you have learned. I hope you have learned, because I have. I hope you have taken away the key pointers that the presenters had. And biggest thing that we need to do is to implement on what we have learned today. All right. So thank you guys. God bless you and have a fantastic afternoon. Goodbye.